Thank you very much, Denise Zmekhol, for being with us. Cassatatron Expanded Archive, Skin of Glass. Can you give us some general overview about this film here at the Milan Design Film Festival?
Sure. This film is a film that I was making a book about my father and his work, and then I decided to move to film because I'm a filmmaker. And the story happened that in 2015 I found out my father's masterpiece, a modernist all-glass office tower, was occupied by homeless people, because I lost my father when I was 14, and it was just a way to reconnect with him through his art.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to Brazil and I try to get inside the building many times for many months, and I don't succeed, they don't let me in. And I can find out why. Well, the building was made in the 60s during the time of great hope and optimism in Brazil. It was the time of the golden age of architecture. And at that time, you know, it was a very unique time in Brazil that, you know, was the beginning of the building of that project, and then we had a coup. So what happens inside the building the last 50 years is kind of a reflection of Brazil during this whole time. So that's also what I'm trying to tell with the story, that the building is reflecting Brazil in the last 50 years. The housing movement in Brazil is taking over abandoned buildings that are empty in downtown San Paulo to make their homes, because nobody has been living or using those buildings for years, 10 years, 5 years,
It happens the same in Macau, in Milan. I was squatted an immense skyline close to the central station of Piazza Duca d'Aosta. In 2015 we squat the palace, 46 floors.
The residents didn't know that I wanted to film in the building. So the whole time the coordinators of that occupation was telling me, they're not telling me the truth. So when the building caught fire and was gone, and all the people that were inside the building were living a block away for 3 months in the street, and I got to know them and talk to them, I realized they had no idea, and they would be totally okay meeting, you know, and talking to me and telling their stories. So it was kind of, you know, I only got to know them when the building was gone, which is very ironic, you know, to...
The memories flow. They inhabit a place. It's often happened that people stay in an architect building or in a project space without knowing at all that this is an alphabet of an intellectual, of a person that was studying long times art history and so on, to do this. But that's because there is a problem of awareness and consciousness in between the sides of society.
Yeah,
or
but
not?
No, I think it's, in that case, it was because the leaders of the occupation didn't want me to see, or anybody to see, how people were living inside the building, because the conditions of the people inside the building were not very humane.
Good.
And maybe you didn't get to that point of the film, and they start describing how bad it was. And it was so bad that they didn't have water. They had to, you know, bring buckets to many stories, so they could only leave up to the 10th floor, because they only had the water until maybe the 5th floor. They didn't have electricity. They were using electricity. They were stealing electricity from the light.
That's happened also in South Italy.
Yeah.
A lot of people squat and steal electricity from the tram line.
Right. And that's how the building got fire, because there was a spark in one of the, you know, cables, the wires, and then, you know, there are 3 different versions, you know.